Okay, the big difficulty I have with this kind of thing, where you split your presentation, is that the crowd get warmed up in the first half, and then if they go cold, you lose it again, right? But I thought maybe just by a way of a warm up, right? I tell you a little story about it's a totally fictional story. When he's getting that ready, there's a story told about the Minister for Defence in Ireland. Minister for Defence in Ireland declaring war on the Russians. Right? He rings them up and rings the Minister for Defence in Russia. Says, "We're declaring war. You've been very bad." I can't remember what the incident was. The guy in Russia hasn't got a clue even where Ireland is. Right? He looks at it on the map. Oh yeah, the little thing beside England. Right? How are you gonna execute this war? So we're going to come by plane. How many planes do you have? So we've got 2 helicopters, we've got 2 jets, and we've got 1 other big plane. I said, this is ridiculous, right? We have hundreds of thousands of planes, all sorts of different planes, bombers, jet fighters, all the most advanced planes in the world. Okay, so forget about that. I'll come back to you in 5 minutes. Right? So he brings him back in 5 minutes and says, "We're still declaring war on you. How are you going to do it?" "We're going to come by boat." Right? So same kind of thing again. I'll just make this a little bit quicker. He says we've got 2 or 3 boats, and the other guy is saying, "No, this is crazy. We've got a whole armada. We've got a whole fleet of boats. Right? You can't do it that way. You'll be destroyed." He said, "Okay, leave it with me. I'll come back to you." Comes back again. He said, "We're still going to declare war, and we're going to come by foot. Infantry, soldiers." He said, "How many soldiers do you have?" He said, "I've got 100,000 soldiers in my regular army, and I can call on another 50,000. And the Russian guy says, "I've got 100 million people in our regular army, and I can call up the whole of the population. I don't know what the population, another 100 million. And he says, we'll have to stop this. We're not going to declare war on you." Right? He said, "Well, I'm glad that you've come to your senses. Right? What has eventually made you decide to come to your senses?" He said, "Well, it's like this. We wouldn't have the space to put all the prisoners of war." Now, the point of the story is that the Irish are indomitable. It doesn't matter how many times you knock them down. I'm coming back and I'm going to show you the presentation. Right? Okay, we were talking earlier about communications. Back to this one. Okay, we did that clip. Okay. Now, we were talking about 3 things that matter: message, the messenger, and the context. Okay? So we're still with the message. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier, how important our brand is for us, right? And I picked up this clip about brand messages in the States, right? Now, I hope nobody is going to be offended. There's some kind of slightly rude stuff in this, but I think it's funny, right? So, enjoy.
I love TV commercials, but I think they need better songs in them to help promote the products. What? They need better songs to help sell the products. Like, I think this would be a great song for AT&T. AT&T. Perfect for that song. Miller Lite. Home security. Gas X. Herpes. PMS. Imodium. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. Imodium. Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way. Trojan condoms. Let's get it started. pregnancy test.
But she got me on the counter. Got me hanging on the sofa.
And Viagra.
You raise me
Thank you guys very much for having me. God bless you. I love you guys. Thank you. Take care of yourselves.
Okay. I mentioned earlier about the particular difficulties of communication for me in Tanzania, being an Irish guy where they speak Swahili and owned by Arabs and Indians and so on. Well, we've got an additional difficulty now because we swapped out our network last year from Ericsson to Huawei. So now we're dealing with the Chinese, right? So watch this one to see what can happen.
Mr. President, Condoleezza Rice is here to see you.
Good, send her in.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President.
Oh, Condoleezza, nice to see you. What's happening?
Well, Mr. President, I have the report here about the new leader in China.
Wait, Condi, lay it on me.
Mr. President, who is the new leader of China?
Well, that's what I want to know.
Well, that's what I'm telling you, Mr. President.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, Condi. Who is the new leader of China?
Yes.
I mean the feller's name.
Who?
The guy in China.
Who?
The new leader of China.
Who?
The Chinaman.
Who is leading China, Mr. President?
What are you asking me for?
I'm telling you who is leading China.
Well, I'm asking you, Condi, who is leading China?
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Will you or will you not tell me the name of the new leader of China?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Arafat is in China. I thought he was in the Middle East.
That's correct, sir.
Then who's in China?
Yes, sir.
Yasser's in China?
No, sir.
Then who is?
Yes, sir.
Yasser?
No, sir.
Connie, you're starting to piss me off now, and it's not because you're black neither. I need to know the name of the new leader of China, so I want you to get me the Secretary General of the United Nations on the phone.
Coffee, Annan?
No, thanks. And Condi, call me George. Stop with that Ebonics crap.
You want coffee?
No.
You don't want coffee?
No, but now you mention it, I could use a glass of milk, and then get me the UN.
Yes, sir.
Not Yasser, the guy at the United Nations.
Coffee.
Milk! Will you please make that call?
And call who?
Well, who's the guy at the UN?
No, who is the guy in China?
Will you stay out of China?
Yes, sir.
And stay out of the Middle East. Just get me the guy at the UN.
Coffee.
All right, with cream and 2 sugars. Now get on the phone.
Hello. Rice here.
Rice, good idea. And get a couple of egg rolls, too, Condi. Maybe we should send some to the guy in China and the Middle East. Can you get Chinese food in the Middle East? I don't know.
The opportunities for miscommunication are just endless. Well, let's move on, because having looked at the issue of the message, right, now we turn our attention to the messenger, because it does really matter who's telling you the story. Right? It's not just about the message itself. Okay. Now I'll get my clicker.
We have, folks, a large pepperoni pizza.
Le Pepsi, please.
A Pepsi. Sure thing, Curly. Here you go, Cupcake.
Thank you.
Hey, come here. I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm going to tell you. We both know I ordered a Pepsi Cola. And now you've insulted me and my entire family by offering me this. And remember this. For being a civilized person, I'd like to give you a chance to make amends. Capisce? Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you.
What would we do without all these odds? Okay, well, I was talking earlier about the confusion that sometimes, we've talked about the Germans, the French, the Irish, the Americans, the Chinese, now the Italians. Right? So, but let's go back to the conflict between men and women, right? And how misperception, right, can arise. And there's a story about the wife who said to her husband, the following day was her birthday, and she was looking for something that would accelerate from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. Better be in the driveway, the following day. Right? And she was expecting something like this. Right? But of course, the husband had a completely different idea. Right? And presented her with, "We believe he's recovering well in intensive care." Okay. Right, we've looked at the message, we've looked at the messenger. Now let's look at the context. You have to pay close attention to these clips because you can miss it. But they're good, classics.
Patient has a fractured fibula, given him a mild sedative. So he could be able to go on tomorrow.
Daddy's going to be so excited.
That killed him.
Paging Dr. Palmer, Dr. Barbara Palmer, dial 452.
So context matters, as you will also see in this one. I had to go back to the men-women thing again.
Hello? I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake. This is a library. I'd like to order french fries, a burger, and a milkshake.
Okay. Right. Normally this is where I try to bring it back to the serious stuff, but I'm not really going to labor on that. Other than to say, it is really about people. It's about how people communicate, and particularly for an operator, the key thing is voice. Right? Voice is it has always been the primary driver of our revenues, and will continue for many years. Between voice and text messaging, right? The simple communication is where we make our money, and we will continue to do, even with the advent of all the other stuff. I suppose that the lessons that we've learned in the last 3 years in Zantel is that it is possible to achieve a lot, even if you find yourself in very constrained situations. As some of I hear people talking about the difficulties that are often presented in different parts of Africa, right, in getting access to technologies and so on. You can achieve a lot with a little. It does depend on the people. Right? People are what drives the business. You can get access to the technology, you can get access to the money, you've got to get the people is critical. And clarity of communication. Right? And I hope that you've enjoyed the clips which illustrate how that communication can sometimes get very garbled. Right? The other thing that I've noted in how we've developed in our market is that even though we were the fourth entrant, right, even though we were the little guy, we had to be the leader. We had to try and do things that set the tone for the rest of the market. And I think we have been somewhat successful in that. We haven't at all tried to respond to anything that the bigger guys have done. We've tried to see what needs to be done and go after it. And I would think that you don't normally talk about other operators when you're up in the stand, but I would think if I have a model that I look to, and it didn't start out this way. It just happened that when I saw what they were doing, it also represented what we're trying to do in Tanzania. It will be Safaricom. Because Safaricom, when they came to Kenya, they set about trying to reach the hearts and minds of the ordinary people. And they really focused on that. So developments like the Z-Pesa, in their case they use M-Pesa. Right? Developments like the applications that they run for the farmers and so on was very important. Right? It's also very important for us, and that's why we focused our efforts on initiatives like the village phone, like the Pariah service, which provides satellite service throughout the whole country, and the Z-Pesa service. Okay. Let me just finish off while this thing is going with a little bit of an uplift, because I can hardly leave you with kind of very banal statements like "keep talking." Right? Let me tell you the story about about Einstein. He was reported to have been, he was on the lecture tour, right? And he had been going around for 6-9 months giving lectures. And at each one of the lectures, he would have his driver with him, right? Because the driver had to drive him around. He would sit on the side. And after about 6 months, the driver said to Einstein, I could do that, right? I'd seen your presentation so many times. I could easily, deliver your presentation, no problem, right? It's not all that difficult, right? So they decided to try it out as an experiment, right? So the next place he was going to, he was arriving in Ireland, right? And nobody knew Einstein in Ireland, right? So the driver got up to make the presentation, and Einstein sat in the corner. And he got up and he delivered the presentation word for word exactly as Einstein had done on his theory of relativity. Right? And at the end, the chairman said, would anybody like to ask a question? And one of the delegates said, he asked a very complex question about relativism. Right? And the driver responded by saying, he said, I'm really glad you asked me that question. Right? This is such a simple issue. Right? If you had listened through the presentation, right, you would easily know the answers to this question. Right? He said, the answer is so simple. My driver over here can answer it. So if you have any questions for me, my driver is here. Right? Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Hope you
Joel.
enjoyed it.
That's a very good note for us to break for lunch. A round of applause again for a very nice bunch of video clips. I hope you make this available for the rest of us as well. We'll be back here again at 1:30.